Hello everyone, Josh here with Texas Games, bringing y'all another Awaken cast era video. And today we're going to be exploring the top 5 reroll options in the game. So a lot of things have changed since CBT 2, 3, 4, and of course now soft launch, and with global launch on the horizon, which just means the game is going to be available to more people than it is currently. I'm expecting there might be even some more changes to come, maybe with hero rebalancing, adding additional new heroes. I don't know. But as of right now, there is 5 units that just stand out among all others that you really want to put your, keep your eyes on for re-rolling. So if you're a new player, if you just want to play a side account, or if you just don't like the way your account's been going as a free-to-play and you just want to start over, you want to look for some really solid re-roll targets. Now again, if this is, going to be a little bit changed by time global drops, I will make an updated version of this video, so don't worry. But as of right now, these are the 5 units that we're going to discuss. So the first one is pretty obvious. He's sitting right there at the bar. He's waiting for a cold one. He's ready to go. He's an assassin. He's a bounty hunter, whatever you want to call him. His name is Zatlux. He is by far, at this current time, the best farmer in the game. You also can get a free copy of him by doing these missions that you see right here on your screen from the Covenant. So as a free-to-play, you can get a free copy of Zatlux, which means if you re-roll for him, you will already have him at Ascended 1 or Ascension 1 or Awakened 1 or Plus 1, whatever people like to refer to the dupes as. So you got to defeat 200 bosses. Now, it's not as hard as you think. Just by going through story, you're going to get that done pretty quickly. Battle in the arena 200 times with the new arena packs being available in the game, which were not there previously. You can get that knocked out in probably a week, if not less, if you grind pretty hard. Own a 6-star hero, you can do that in 2 days. I've done that on multiple free-to-play accounts. Easy peasy. You can even do it in a day if you go extremely hard. Obtain 50 items of 5-star gear. Again, that's another thing that's not going to be very difficult as it might sound. You're going to get a lot of that from story as well, from doing the Evelyn quest. So you're going to be able to get a free copy of him quite early on. And that's great. So if you re-roll for him, you build him up, boom, now you get a free dupe, which is going to give you 15% additional attack to his base stats, which your gear, of course, scales off of that. So that's a really good dupe for him. Now, 2 other units we're going to be talking about is water. Matter of fact, the next 4 units on this top 5 are water. And that's not by just being biased. That's just by design. That's just the way the game is right now. The game is very water heavy because some of the better units in the entire game are water. So if you go down here to your altar and you go over here to hero synthesis, you'll see here that you have 2 extremely strong water epics, and we have Santis and we have Hakrin. Both these units can be fused, synthesized, whatever word you want to use, crafted. So those are 3 of the top 5 right there, and we will go a little bit more in depth of what they can do. I just wanted to kind of just show you guys that those 3 characters you can get your first copy of for free with very minimum amount of work. It's mostly just summoning or just playing the game, and you should be able to get at least 1 copy of all 3 of those, within the first 1 or 2 weeks. All right. So, and you'll notice one thing about our list so far, we're not talking about any legendaries, and that again is also by design. Legendaries are just not ideal for free-to-plays or casual spenders, especially early on. There's just too many good elite and epics out there that are much easier to build, much easier to get dupes for, and dupes are important. If somebody tries to tell you that dupes are not important in this game, they're lying to you. They're trying to sell you on something that's false. Dupes are very important in this game. Some of these characters can't even do what you need them to do properly without dupes. Some of them can get away with it, but a lot of them don't. And do you really want to invest into a unit that you have no dupes for without any reasonable way to get additional dupes? You really don't. So as a free-to-play and as a casual, you want to be super efficient with your resources. Thus, that's why I feel like epics are the way to go. On top of the fact, unless they change how rookie summons work, you can start the game with 2 epics just from rookie summons when you beat story chapter 2-8. So, I mean, that's already a great re-rolling strat right there. On top of the fact you have coupon codes, you're going to have, gems from the honeymoon phase of the game, the first day or 2, the first week or so, whatever, however your re-rolling process is going to go. I know some people can re-roll the long way, or they try to do it the quickest way possible. That's why, again, epics just seem like the best route to take. All right, so we're not going to be talking about any light or dark. I'm still waiting for Vengeful Hassel to make his return. Like, where is Vengeful Hassel? I don't know. Dark Asrina is missing too from the game, and Holy Yolanda. Anywho, so Wood had some really solid units, but we already talked about, of course, Zatlux being one of our top 5 choices. You know, this dude's an assassin. He just kills things. He's a bit squishy, but it doesn't matter. You glyph him up, you get that free dupe. He's going to go in and wreak havoc. He can reset his own cooldowns, which does a ton of damage. It's basically a single target that becomes an AoE, which is why he's like the best farmer in the game, outside of maybe like Nathalia, if you throw her in the list, which we will be talking about her as well. She's also going to be in the top 5 here. As you can see with his trait, upon defeating an enemy, resets all of his heroes' ability cooldowns, which is very, very nice. And what's really cool about Zatlux too, he's very easy to gear up for a DPS because he already gives himself 30% crit, which you can see is not included here in his stats. So technically right now his crit rate would be 40% if you include just the max stats that they're showing in the index. So it would technically be 40 right now, which means you'd only need 60 more, and then he's at 100%. Precision, a very underrated stat, very good. It allows a unit like Zatlux to actually crit on fire units. Yes, as crazy as that sounds, that is exactly how precision works, because it kind of goes against the ability of them to keep deflecting, which if you get a deflect to pop up, you cannot crit. So it's very helpful in that way, very underrated stat, and that's why Zatlux is so good at what he does, and that's just killing a lot of things in quick succession, and allows you succession. There we go, if I could speak. So yeah, very solid unit. Now, I know a lot of you, we've been playing for a while, they're gonna bring up Asrina, so we're just gonna kind of, you know, we're gonna speak on it for a moment. So Asrina is a solid unit, but she's not a reroll target. Yes, you can get a free copy of her as well from the Covenant, much like you can with Zatlux. However, she's just not going to be suited for a lot of different content. She's going to be good in her niche areas, which is very, very good, like Tulpa, for example. She can be very good there. That's fine. She even can be good in guild bosses. When the green guild boss is up, that's fine. But everywhere else, she's just not really going to be a priority unit. You're going to have other units that are going to be filling out your team that are going to be better than her for a lot of other content. So unfortunately, Asrina with 2 S's, I don't care, fight me in the comments, that's her name. It's Asrina with 2 S's. They misspelled it, it's a typo. So there you go, that's Asrina. I just wanted to kind of touch on that for a moment, because I know some people in the comments will probably bring that up, like, hey, you can get a free copy for her too. Is she a reroll target? No, unfortunately she's not. Okay, so that leaves us with 4, and of course we've already mentioned 3 from the beginning of the video. We still have to talk about Santis, and we have to talk about Hakrin in a little bit more detail. So that's 3 out of 5. The other 2 are actually William. You know, we're a very pro William channel, but for good reason. He's just so good. So let's go ahead and talk about William real quick. We'll get to the other 2 at the end, since we already kind of spoiled those. So we have William. William has a very good stat distribution for an epic. He's got 3 Bs and 2 As, and the 2 As that he has are the stats that he absolutely you know, needs. Those are the stats that you actually want to build into and invest into: health and defense. And through glyphs, he gets pretty high. Okay, and this is a unit that you do not have to 6-star for a while. You could live off this guy being a 5-star for quite a while, which is very good for investment wise and resources. It allows you to focus your resources in other units like your DPSs and your healers and stuff like that, and not have to put them all into William, because William is just good by default. He has a trait that is probably what I would consider game breaking. It's probably one of the better traits, if not the best traits in the entire game. He's increasing the skill 1s of pretty much every character in the entire game by 50%. Now, if you get 2 dupes in him, that goes up to 80%, which is even more crazy. Okay, so you definitely want to try and go for this guy if you want, especially if you're trying to build a water team, or even a just a really solid tank team. He's going to be good in that as well, because he also has the ability to counterattack, gives a unit a defense up 2. His skill 1 allows you to have a joint attack, so he's gonna be good for counterattack teams. He's gonna be good for poison teams. He's gonna be good for the tank teams, as we've already mentioned. He's gonna be good in just a lot of different areas. Like, there's very rarely do I have to take this guy out of my team. Like, if I'm doing like stage 11 or 12s of like specific gear dungeons, those are like the only circumstances where I'd actually consider taking William out of my team. He's that good. He's so good, in fact, that you would even run him even in areas where he's got a type disadvantage. Like if you're running him against wood units, you'll still bring him just because of what he offers to the rest of your team. It's ridiculous. Now, his ultimate is also an AoE defense down, which is very clutch for like areas like PvP, for example, or bounty, or I guess you could just say normal story grind, as well as harder tower. So there's a lot of different things there you could do with that. He's just got a very good kit. He does not have a wasted movement. Every one of his skills are solid. His trait is one of the best traits, if not the best, as we said, in the game. Great stat distribution. There's not much more we can really do or say about William that hasn't already been done or said. And we've already made a whole entire video you guys and gals can check out here on the channel that's dedicated to just William and why he's so good. I believe I made that video. If I didn't, I will make it, but I'm pretty sure I did. I've made so many videos over the years. Sometimes I just get my videos mixed up. Who knows? Anyway, so our fifth option, and again, we will go back to Santis and we will go back to Hakrin. But Nathalia, much like Zatlux, is literally just a certified killer. Her entire job is to go in, nuke stuff, and walk away with a smile. Now, her attack is S grade already. She's at the bottom of S. She's at 1344. That's like bottom level S, but it's still an S nonetheless. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did. On an epic hero. Now, she, again, like Zatlux, is a bit squishy. She's got C health and defense, but it doesn't matter because she is designed to kill things, not get hit by things. That is her whole philosophy. Go in, kill before they kill you, right? Now, her ultimate also can reset its cooldown if it gets a kill, kind of similar to how Zatlux can reset his. Except you don't really use her ultimate very often, especially if you have her paired up with William, which is one of the other units we've already just mentioned, because her skill 1 can actually become an AoE because of her trait. This is what makes her so deadly. And with William in your team, that 100% goes to 180. So that is disgusting. She also has self buffs on her passive, and she has self buffs on her skill 1 as well, including one of the rare buffs that you don't see very often, which is crit damage up, which is fantastic. Her trait allows her to make her moves become AoE as well, as we've already said. For every positive effect this character has, their abilities affect one extra enemy and damage is increased by 10%. So not only is she attacking multiple enemies with a skill 1 and her ultimate that are both single targets, but they can become ultimates, or I'm sorry, they can become AoEs. She's also increasing her damage output per buff she has on her. And what's really nice is, since her skill 1 is the one you're going to be utilizing mostly when you run her, her skill 1 already gives her 1 buff, so she's already got a buff. And you can cheese her as well, because if you run a guard set for the first 3 turns of hers, she's going to have a buff shield. So that's going to be 2 buffs right there. And then if you run the spell Shield of Mercy and you put that on her, that's a permanent buff for the entirety of the battle, as long as she doesn't take a lethal hit. So that's 3 buffs right there. Now she's already hitting 4 targets for an additional 30% damage, because each buff is an additional 10%. And she's getting that buff of 50 to 80% from our boy William on her skill 1. That is now an AoE. And that's not including any other buffs that you get from other characters that you run with her, or even her passive if it triggers. So, oh boy, what can I say? She is a machine. A killing machine. Alright, so that leaves us with Hakrin and Santis, which we've already mentioned briefly. Ooh, this is a longer video. So Hakrin is a defensive god, okay? He is literally a god of the defense, okay? This is the core component to any tank team that you ever want to build. All right? It's insanity. His defense might be the highest in the game or close to it. His A health is also fantastic. He's got 3 B stats as well. So his stat distribution is amazing for an epic hero. And as we've mentioned, you can fuse this guy and get a free copy, which is great. His trait is fantastic as well. Even without the trait being fully ascended, his trait is still very good. Grants a team-wide defense bonus equal to 10% of this character's defensive rating. So let's just say he has 1000 defense after you include gear, glyphs, and base stats. So he's just got a solid 1000 defense. He's going to be giving your entire team an additional 100 defense. With his trait Ascended, he's going to give them 200. Now, I can tell you right now from experience using this guy, you can get this guy over 3000 defense easily. Maybe even 3500 plus. So you're talking upwards of almost 700 additional defense being distributed to your entire team, which is nuts. And that's not including if you don't run any units on your team that also have a defensive up buffs, like Bruzak, for example, or even Rodir on her ult, or even Joseph. So that's crazy, okay? That's nuts. And that's not all he does. That's just half of what he can do. This dude is nuts. His ultimate can give you max HP stacks up to 5 times for a maximum additional max HP of 75%. Okay? So he's making your tank team so tanky. He's giving them additional max HP, which can make guys like Ricard go off on their ultimates, which is another solid unit as well. We haven't really talked about because he's not a reroll target, but he's really, really good. So that's nuts. He also allows your healers that scale off of max health for healing to heal for more. Just, he makes your DPSs not as squishy anymore like your Zatluxes and your Nathalias. Insanity. This guy's kit is fantastic. And that's not even including his skill 1 and skill 2, but those are not as important as what we've already mentioned. And we want to save a little bit of time, so let's go ahead and jump right into Santis now. Now, this is the poison goddess, period. She might be a matter of fact, she is the best poisoner in the entire game. Now, she doesn't have the broken trait for poison like Gangelo does, but she's so good, she doesn't even need him to still do what she needs to do with poisons. She also has a very good stat distribution, 3 Bs, 2 As. Thankfully, she got an A health and a B defense and no Cs there, because you want to really build poison units for HP and defense with maybe a little bit of speed and focus, depending. So it's really good that she does have an A health there. It very much helps her out in how you want to build her after you glyph her up and everything else. Now, she's a bit more on the dupe heavy end. She does unfortunately need 5 dupes to get the maximum ascension on her trait. However, she does not have to have it to function. So attacks against enemies affected by poison has a 50% chance to apply an additional poison for 2 turns. Now, that is very good. Now, obviously, that's not like the 100% chance that you're going to get through Ascension, but it's still very good. It'll still trigger quite often, especially if you're running her with a curse set, and you're going to be utilizing her skill 1 and her ultimate mostly. Now, the skill 2 is very handy when you're fighting multiple targets and you want to just keep splashing poisons to everyone. Then it's very, very solid. Her skill 3, her ultimate, allows her to prolong the turn counter on the poison, which is great, and also applies a poison as well, which can also still trigger the trait, and it can also still trigger curse set to use her skill 1 a second time. Or after the ultimate. So she basically does 2 moves. And on her skill 1, she could possibly do her skill 1 twice because of curse set as well. So you're able to apply a lot of different poisons. Skill 2 can also trigger the curse, obviously. If you're not familiar with the curse set, we are going to be making a video here soon talking about some of the best gear sets in the game and why. Curse set's going to definitely be one of them. Basically what it does, a TLDR version here, is it just basically and simply allows you a 50% chance to attack again with your basic ability, which of course in this case is skill 1's, which in her case has an unconditional poison, so she can poison upwards of 4 times in one basically one turn, essentially, because she's going to go apply a poison, and then if her trait triggers, that's another poison, and then if she has curse trigger, she's going to poison again, and then if her trait triggers again, that's 4 poisons like that, like nothing. It's insanity. So she is a machine, and if you're not familiar with what poison does, it does 3% of max HP. So if you're talking about like mid to end game level content, especially boss fights, she's going to excel in those areas very, very nicely. So that is all the units. I tried to get through them all as fast as possible. I know I stumbled on my words a few times. I don't script this stuff. I just say this stuff as I go. Try to give you guys like more of a raw experience here, not too polished. But yeah, that's my top 5 reroll targets. Let me know in the comment section below what you all think about my top 5. Do you like my top 5? Would you change any in and out? Do you have a completely different top 5? Would you throw some legendaries in there? Let me know all that and more, your reasoning for your choice as well. I'd love to read those. But yeah, that's my top 5. And I would personally say, if you're going to re-roll for those top 5, to at least try to get 2 of them. That would be the ideal scenario, to try and at least get 2 of those top 5. Preferably pull them in pairs. Like if you're going to go for Nathalia, try and get William to pair with her. If you're going to get a Santis, try to get a Hakrin. If you're going to get a Zatlux, I would say to go for like a Zatlux and a Hakrin, or a Zatlux and a William. So those combos would all work very well within that top 5. But again, let me know what y'all think. Don't forget to like the video, tick notifications, join us in the Discord in the description below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and follow me on Twitter at XSPlays, and I will catch you all in the next one. As always, until then, peace.